Well, as we promised, we're going to get into all of the midterms, including all the Republican primaries. And there's a big one happening in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And we are happy to welcome our good friend, guy we've known for an awful long time, the former Attorney General Daniel Cameron. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me in person. I think this is actually the first time I've been in the studio.
Yeah,
so
is
I feel
that
like,
right?
like I'm making it now. Like I've moved up another level. And like if this was, Nintendo or Super Mario Brothers or something, I've gotten to the next level. So this is it.
Well, I think you were kind enough to risk your career early on a Zoom with us before we even had a studio at that point.
Honestly, anytime I saw Josh Holmes' number on my phone, you pick up and you do what Josh says.
It's very,
It's
very
just like
kind.
conditioned in me at this point. Yeah.
So listen, you're in a hell of a race. It's to
Why do you say that? I've never heard that before.
Kentucky Senate openings, which don't come along all that often. You've thrown your hat in the ring. You've been in for quite some time. By all indications, from a polling standpoint, you're leading the race at this point. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, yeah, I jumped in the race. I guess it was about the March or February timeframe of last year. So literally almost a year into the race. I tell people it's kind of like being on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Like you're moving a lot, but you're not really going. But right now, because we're in January of 26, people are starting to pay attention. And what I've shared with people is, we got in this race because of our two boys, Theodore and Bennett. We want to see them have a country that lives up to the ideals of its founding, a country that's based on merit and opportunity, not one that's riven with the divisions of diversity, equity, inclusion. I tell people all the time, we don't need a country that's built on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need a country that's built on merit, excellence, intelligence, and integrity. So I jumped into this race and feel very strongly about my ability to stand firm for the values of the men, women, and children of our 120 counties. And I've got a track record of having done that as the Attorney General and standing up for constitutional rights. When we had a governor that wanted to shut down our churches for a period of time, we went to federal court and got those churches reopened after 9 days. When Joe Biden tried to force the vaccine mandate on our state during the COVID time, went into federal court and got that vaccine mandate stopped in Kentucky. So again, I've had a track record of standing up for the values of the folks at home, and would be honored to have an opportunity to serve in Washington. And to your point about the polling, it's been good for us. And every poll, I think at this juncture, has shown me in the high 30s or low 40s. And I think that's just a measure of people have gotten to know me and gotten to know my wife, Mackenzie, and our family, and trust us to do what's right by them here in Washington.
So, yeah, one of the reasons why people have sort of sided with you at this point in the race is they have gotten to know you. You ran statewide as Attorney General, did a hell of a job on that. And then you also ran for governor. That one came up a little bit short to a total fraud in Governor Beshear. Yeah. But again, you get a chance, an opportunity during that process to get out and get to know people a little bit. Imagine that's a benefit. You're not doing this for the first time, not introducing yourself for the first time in all parts of the state.
Yeah, Josh, you're right. Somebody a couple of weeks ago said, Daniel has got a gas station name ID, meaning that if I walk into a gas station, sometimes, by and large, somebody's going to know who I am. And I think it's, to your point, a testament of having built relationships across the state and, just tried to, to the extent I can, show people who I am. And, I'm probably not the most polished politician you're ever going to find. But
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but I certainly, try as hard as I possibly can to work for the folks of Kentucky. And the issues that I've talked about, whether it's on putting more money in people's pockets or living up to the ideals of our founding or standing firm for border security, because when I was Attorney General, we saw fentanyl come across that southern border and hurt people in Kentucky. I think people recognize that if I have the chance to serve up here, I'm going to do it in a way that reflects the values of folks at home.
So one thing you mentioned on it, you touched on it briefly with the COVID vaccine mandates during Biden and everything, and I think it's worth taking a trip down memory lane for a lot of people who we quickly forgotten all about this period of time where the world went crazy.
It's been like memory hold almost.
Yeah, right. But as I recall, like in those early days when they're trying to stop people in Kentucky from going to church, Beshear had officers out there recording license plates of people from the congregations. Can you tell a little bit, just remind the people of how crazy it actually was, and even red states like Kentucky?
We literally had a governor that got on television and said that if you go to church, we're going to have law enforcement agencies record your license plates, and then you were in jeopardy potentially of having to go to jail or pay some significant fine.
Jeez.
I mean, that's where we were just roughly 6 short years ago. And it's crazy. I mean, to the point that like folks don't want to talk about it anymore. It like brings up all these thoughts of like just how crazy the stripping of our constitutional rights were. And I remember standing on the steps of our Capitol and saying, Governor Beshear cannot shut down our churches. And he shut them down the next day. Now, we went into court and got them reopened after 9 days, but you lost like 3 services during that, because it was like a, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday sort of deal. And I remember just the amount of people that were upset by that. But that wasn't the only absurd decision that he made during that period of time. I mean, you had a governor that said that, say if you lived in northern Kentucky, and you guys know the geography of the state and you know kind of where things are. You lived in northern Kentucky, wanted to go to Ohio, and wanted to go to Montgomery and barbecue. You make that trip and then come back, 20-minute ride, got you a 14-day quarantine. I mean, you had to stay home. Nonsense.
Crazy.
If you lived in northern Kentucky but wanted to go to Old Hickory or Moonlight in West Kentucky, in Davis County, you could make that trip. Now that's 3.5 hours, like depending on where you live in northern Kentucky. You could make that trip, go home. If the idea that it was what you wanted to like limit exposure to COVID, how's that 20-minute trip like more dangerous than the 3.5 hour trip? It didn't make any sense.
Like the 6-foot rule.
Yeah, it was like, and it was unconstitutional. Yeah, like, if you cough.
Just make stuff up.
Just make arbitrary rules up. It was found unconstitutional. But the idea that we had to actually go into court and have to fight for the common sense constitutional rights of our people was absurd. But yeah, that was just a period of time in which there were just these egregious rules that were made by our governor. I mean, I remember I went into federal court and into state court to fight these COVID restrictions, just the entire sort of apparatus of them. And the Courier Journal called me the angel of death. Because I was like, And so there was like all this craziness around like just going in to stand up for the Constitution. And I'm glad we're over that period. And, there's certainly a lot of lessons learned out of that that we're, frankly, still learning about, how do we proceed in the midst of these challenges? It's not to shut things down. It's not to close businesses down. We got a lot of small businesses in Kentucky that were hurt by that period. We got a lot of kids that were hurt by that period. I mean, you remember, Scott Jennings, when he had the opportunity to confront Randy Weingartner about it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of kids in Kentucky that were really hurt by that decision to shut down our schools, and it was unfortunate.
Yeah. So Daniel, you in a tightly contested primary right now. I mean, I know that you're ahead, and if the election were today, you'd probably come out on top.
Let's get that. Let's just we'll end this right now. There you go. Ashbrook has said it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.
Stop the count.
And it's not the first tightly contested primary you've been in.
That's right.
You ran for governor, and you were in a tightly contested primary. You came out on top in that primary, but came up a little bit short in the general. I'm wondering what you learned in that governor's race that you're applying to the Senate race so that you don't repeat the same thing.
Well, what I learned is it's really critical to get to as many places as you can, and grassroots are essential. And what I mean by that is that for instance, I talk about this a lot. There's a small group of, folks, probably maybe 50 or 60 people, small group of strong conservative men and women who, are the door knockers. I had an opportunity to talk to them. This was maybe 4 or 5 months ago. This was in Jeffersontown, in J-Town, in right outside of Louisville. And at the end of the meeting, they took a plate around, and we raised like maybe $300. I tell you that because, they didn't come with like $14,000 checks and all that stuff. They came with what they had. And what that means to me is that there are a lot of folks, just like this group of people, that care deeply about this race, want somebody that's going to talk to them and listen to them, be responsive to them, and ask for their help. And that's something that we've leaned in on this, race. Look, it's no secret. We've got a lean team, right? We don't have the millions and millions of dollars that other candidates have in this race. We've got a lean team, but we also have a strong, committed group of supporters. I mean, if my mom was here right now, she'd be running back and forth behind you all right now with her Daniel Cameron T-shirt, telling everybody.
I bet your mom.
I
know about that.
So we've got a lot of folks like that are eager to help, and we're leaning into that this time in a way, frankly, that we didn't last time, and we should have. And so the grassroots are so incredibly important. And I think the endorsements I've had are a testament to our effort to, wherever you are in the Republican Party, you can find a home within the Team Cameron campaign. And so that's been our focus. We feel really good about where things sit right now, regardless of what part of the state you're in. We've got committed Team Cameron county captains that are working their tails off for us this time around.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you hit on a point. We spent the better part of 10, 15 years doing the analysis on races across the country, trying to figure out what candidates we didn't have to worry about. If you're looking at this from a national map, you would say, man, if I have to spend a second thinking about Kentucky, I'm in a bad spot because I got Michigan, New Hampshire, Georgia, North Carolina, all these other places to deal with. And I know that's your goal, to try to take this off the map. But one of the metrics is fundraising, right? And I know you just addressed how you all view all of that. But again, you're up against two well-heeled opponents at this point. We're raising a significant amount of money. And from an analytics standpoint at national committees, they look at that and they're like, are we really not going to have to worry about this guy? And if he's our general election nominee, when you've got, an Amy McGrath or somebody who's had a history of raising tens of millions of dollars, could this be problematic? What's your answer to all that?
Well, I'm working my tail off to raise as much money as we possibly can. And some folks, frankly, in Kentucky are just starting to get engaged in the race. I mean, I've had meetings, today with folks that are starting to get engaged in the race in a way that they hadn't previously. But I'm, making the calls, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to have enough money to win this race. And I'm convinced of it. I know it based on the conversations that I have with people across the state, based on, frankly, the numbers that I have related to my favorability in the state. We have got a strong ground game as well. And I tell people all the time, money doesn't vote, people do. And I am, again, committed to working my tail off to raise as much money as we possibly can. And more people are starting to pay attention to this race. And frankly, doing this, being able to come on here and say, go to CameronForKentucky.com.
There you go. Hey, figured that out.
Yeah, there you go. He's pretty polished. I've learned a few things along the way. Yeah. I've learned a few things along the way. So if
that's Cameron for KY.
CameronForKentucky.com. Go there and you can give some money to the campaign. But look, at the end of the day, folks want to know, and they care deeply about your values and your heart. And I've, tried to show that over the course of my short time in political life, and I'm going to continue to do that and go to as many places as I can and have conversations, whether it's this podcast, whether it's in debates, whether it is in town forums. I had an event over in Shelbyville. I spoke for probably 10 minutes. Shelbyville's right outside of Louisville as well for folks outside of Kentucky, and spoke for 10 minutes and answered questions for about an hour. And I think that's meaningful to people. And we're going to keep doing that through the May 19th primary and into November.
What do you think the most important things that you can do prospectively as a United States Senator? You say you win this election. What do you think the most important things that we can accomplish here in the second 2 years of a Trump administration would be?
Well, I think one is to ensure that we're setting the conditions in Washington to make sure we're putting more money in people's pockets back home. I think, that is, at the end of the day, the responsibility of folks in the United States Senate and in the House of Representatives. How are we going to put more money in people's pocket? I mean, look, we live this daily. I mean, again, we've got two. We've got another one coming in the middle of February.
Yeah, you got your hands
we're looking at the budget.
You spend it. It's an interesting time for family. Family planning activity.
It's God's timing. Not always ours, right? And so we are constantly thinking through our budget. I mean, Mackenzie and I had a conversation last night about our budget for January.
Yeah.
Like, all right, what do we need to do this week? Or
Those
this
are fun conversations.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Especially when Dad's out and gallivanting, looking for votes. Never good excuse.
Just one cheeseburger, not two. And so that, so we have those conversations at home. And what I want voters at home to know is that the decisions that are going to be made in Washington are going to impact my family just like they're going to impact yours. And I think that's got to be a priority and focus for us. So I think we've got to, be very strong, particularly if you're from Kentucky, on what has given us our competitive advantage historically. That's been coal and natural gas. And when you think of some of these technologies that are coming online, whether it's, and candidly, not even coming online, are here presently, AI technology, blockchain technology, some of these others that are going to consume a ton of energy. Kentucky has low cost and reliable energy, and we can lead the nation on energy generation and consumption and make sure that there are great economic opportunities for our people at home. And so that is what I'm focused on. Energy, putting more money in people's pockets, immigration, ensuring, look, as I talked about earlier, as Attorney General, it's really important to me that folks weren't bringing fentanyl illegally over our southern border here. So we got to secure that southern border. We got to make sure we fund our respective agencies as it relates to immigration enforcement. Those are going to be priorities for me in the United States Senate.
Yeah, that's good. Listen, I totally agree with that. A big part of a lot of these primaries, particularly in recent years, have been about the audience of one in the White House.
Yeah.
Right. And the impact that President Trump has via endorsement or not endorsement on the impact of this race. His relationship or lack thereof with the senior senator, whose seat you're attempting to fill at this point, has sort of colored this race in an awful lot of ways. And I noticed, your team, it started with Morris's team, a little bit of Barr's team, seems to make McConnell as a part of that. You can understand how this is uncomfortable for us.
No, I don't get that at all.
So I mean,
did any of you all work for him? Or is that a thing? Yeah.
Well, it turns out everybody did, right? And that's why we find this thing so hilarious, is that we're having a national discussion about McConnell, who's most beholden to McConnell one way or another. We know because we grew up in it. There isn't a damn person in Republican politics in Kentucky.
That's right.
You work for McConnell, Barr worked for McConnell, Morris worked for both McConnell and Elaine Chao.
Right.
I mean, everybody.
Right.
So, what's the merit of that conversation? From
Well, what I've told people is that we have got most Kentucky voters. I would say the majority of them want a conversation about what you as a candidate are going to bring to the table as the next senator from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And that's what I've tried to do. Now, what I have said is that if I have a disagreement on policy, whether it's with Senator Paul or Senator McConnell or frankly others, then the voter needs to know that. And that should be shared broadly, because that's a part of the assessment and judgment that a voter has to make. But what you will not find from me is disparaging anybody in this race. That's just not how I'm built as a person. And I don't think that's necessary to win this race. Now, other candidates might take a different view of that.
Anybody in mind?
You might talk to them at some point. So you can broach that subject when it comes to it. You might even want to bring up the Elaine Chao thing, and, that he worked for both of them. But anyways, but you all make the judgment and decision when you all want to do that.
We've come to the shit talk portion of the program.
I'll come back if you want me to get in and have that conversation. But I think people can either make their campaign on disparaging somebody or creating a positive vision for what they want to do in the job. And what I've endeavored to do, whether when I was Attorney General or my other campaigns, is talk about the future and how it will impact the kids and the grandkids of our Commonwealth. And what are we going to do to ensure that the Commonwealth in this country is the best and brightest version of itself? That's what I'm focused on. And, some folks might not like that, and some folks might want to see the, punching or beating down folks.
And some people love it.
And some people love that. But that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to, talk about the issues, talk about things that, frankly, we talk about at home, my wife and I, or what I know other families are talking about as they, try to pay for groceries and gas or summer leagues for their kids and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, this race is a tough one for us to handicap, because we spent most of our adult lives worrying about all of this stuff, and we've gotten to know all of you very well. What I can say, you're a good man. You're doing it for the right reason. We appreciate that you've come on, shared all your views about this. We're going to stay very close.
Let's do it.
In touch on this one.
I'll come back whenever you want me. I'll come back. Yeah. And if you do have those other candidates on and you want me as a guest host, I'm your man. I'm just saying.
We just have a little chair in front. He's got cue cards.
And I just raised my hand. Excuse me, man.
We have a live audience for this.
You, sir, right there.
You may recognize him as your opponent. No, listen, can't thank you enough for coming on. And if they want to do a debate on here, we would be probably the only group that would be respectful to all these guys, right? Because we kind of know them. Anyway, thanks for what you're doing.
Appreciate
Keep up the
you
good
guys.
work, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man.
Daniel
Thanks.
Cameron.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
I mean, just an incredible interview. This guy is running a very aggressive race, and it's a very tight field. I feel like this is going to be a close one down to the end. We're going to talk to all the candidates in Kentucky, but we've known Daniel for a long time, and I feel like the guy is really, hustling out there.